DJ Durkin's defense is set to dominate yet again, but how good will the linebackers be? Welcome on into the Auburn Express, powered by the War Report. I'm your host, Mike G, and thank you so much for making us your first listen of every single day. Joining me here on a Friday is my partner in crime, Ike Jones. We're talking Auburn football. More specifically, we're talking about Auburn's defense. Today, we're talking about the linebackers, who projects to start there, and what kind of impact they will have on Auburn's season. Ike, let's jump right in here. Defensively, it's been no secret. We made no secret of it at the War Report. We like the job that DJ Durkin has been doing on defense. Hell, Auburn liked it enough that they made him the second highest paid assistant in the country this offseason. Before we talk about linebackers specifically, talk to me about this defense and where you see them improving heading into 2025.
Yeah, I think the biggest improvement needed in 2025 is going to be third down defense. They're going to have to figure out how to get off the freaking field, man.
Yeah.
Especially on third and long. And I think a lot of that is going to be predicated on some of the people that we're going to be talking about today with the linebacker core, because how you perform and get people lined up is going to start with your linebackers, right? Those are your, green dots are going to be happening in the linebacker room. Who's going to be the person taking the calls and making sure everybody's where they need to be? And then a portion of that, since we are talking about the three different linebacker positions, is going to be about getting after the quarterback. And then there's a responsibility there in your buck linebacker position for that. That's where Auburn needs to get better. Getting after the quarterback, get off the field on third down.
Yeah, I saw an article that said that Auburn was 2012 levels of bad on third down, getting off the field. Linebacker plays a huge role in being able to get off the field on third down, protect that second level, not allow teams to pick up third and short, third and 3, third and 2, Ike, by filling those gaps. We saw linebackers time after time over the last few years running up the wrong gap, blowing tackles, just allowing touchdowns in the red zone. All that has to stop in year 3. But look, let's talk about who we got here at linebacker and how they project. As always, as we've done every Friday, we're projecting a starting linebacker core. So let's jump right in here. First up, we got
Kieron Crawford. Yeah. He's the buck linebacker.
Okay, yeah. So, again, I want you to be very, very technical and specific for our listeners on pod. Kieron Crawford, talk to me about the position he plays and this hybrid edge linebacker position that we call the buck.
Yeah, buck linebacker for Auburn is going to be an outside linebacker. So there's 3 linebacker positions. The buck is traditionally going to have a lot of pass rushing duties. I mentioned, that is a portion of what needs to improve this year. Crawford's is a guy who is going to have to fill the shoes here a little bit. He played a lot last season, but he's going to have to figure out how to play more reps and be better. DJ Durkin was using him a lot in coverage last year, and he did fairly well in that role for Auburn last season. But he's got some hefty shoes to fill as far as being able to play more reps and be the guy for Auburn this season, because that wasn't really what he was asked to do last year. But I do believe he's got the athleticism to be able to do that. He definitely has the quickness, and he's got the versatility. I liked when he played a little bit in space last year, and hopefully he's going to evolve and be a little bit better in that. With the way that the secondary is going, maybe they don't have to drop him in coverage as much unless they're doing some sort of zone blitzing. But Kieron Crawford is the guy right now that I've got penciled in as the starting buck linebacker for Auburn.
334 snaps played in 12 games last year for the Auburn Tigers. Kieron Crawford. Now, Kieron graded out pretty average per PFF. But I do want to note he did have a sack last year. He had 4 hits and he had 21 hurries. That is second most on the team, second only Keldrick Falk. Keldrick had 31 hurries. So Kieron Crawford definitely will play a pivotal role here moving forward. Before we get to the next guy, having guys like Kieron return and the continuity that we're seeing on this defense is part of why I'm so high on them defensively. And I say that they have a chance to be a top 10 defense. You've got young guys returning, but you've got experience returning. You got young, good experience returning if you're DJ Durkin.
Yeah. Kieron Crawford, a guy, transferred in last year And I guess, just like a lot of these talented guys, had an opportunity to say, look, 5-win season's not what I came to play at Auburn for, and could have left, right? He definitely would have had some opportunities out there when he came in the transfer portal last year, had a lot of opportunities and chose Auburn. But he is going to be, I think, a big portion of depth and rotation for Auburn, but he needs to be a leader in that locker room. Like you talk about the linebacker group and how much talent is there, or really the defense in general. It's a lot of youth. There's a lot of guys who are underclassmen. Crawford is a guy who's got an opportunity to make a name for himself. We mentioned a little bit last time when we were talking about draft eligible players and talking about the defensive backs. Kieron Crawford's a guy who is going to be draft eligible this year. Is he going to make himself some money this year, being able to do and be in a position like the guy who he's replacing, Jalen McLeod, right? Jalen McLeod was the starter at the Buck last year. Crawford's going to be now shifting into that starting role and get his name called on draft day at some point in time. So hopefully he's in the mindset of saying, hey, this is a money year for me. Let me go out here and figure out a way. Can I go make myself some money?
Get that money, Kieron Crawford. Again, Kieron Crawford starting at the Buck here for Auburn is what we're projecting. Next up on the list is a guy that's a stranger to no one. One of my favorites in recruiting, somebody I said was completely underrated and not being talked about enough. He played a decent amount as a true freshman last year. That's Demarcus Riddick. Demarcus Riddick, we're projecting as a starting linebacker this season. Now, he played a ton last year, Ike. And Hugh Freeze brought him up I brought him up during our interview, but he talked about a play versus Missouri where Demarcus Riddick had a guy dead to rights and just kind of overran the play. Yeah. And this is a guy who has all the athletic gifts. I mean, he's speed, strength, he understands the game at a high level. He just has to mature in the system. And this year, we should see a huge jump for Demarcus Riddick. Now, he may not be picked on many preseason all-SEC lists when we get to media days, but I have a sneaking suspicion this is a guy that might make those lists at the end of the season. Demarcus Riddick, talk to me about how he projects here.
Yeah, I've got him at the will linebacker, so that is one of the two interior linebacker positions that Auburn has in this defense for DJ Durkin. And last year he played a lot more of the Buck outside edge, and he was a sub package guy, right? Coach Hugh Freeze referred to it as their rabbit package. So basically, we're just going to put a bunch of fast guys out there, and Demarcus Riddick's job was just to be fast and run down quarterbacks, run down plays that are coming around the edge. And he did that well because he's got such tremendous speed. But he also mentioned last year with Demarcus Riddick that similarly to the conversation that he was having about the wide receiver position, that Demarcus Riddick was a guy who going 100 miles an hour, maybe not absorbing all the things that he needed to be able to absorb, a la Malcolm Simmons, right? But they wanted to just get him out there on the field and let him go use his God-given ability to make plays. And he did that a lot last season. This year, they're going to be calling on him to do a bit more. He's going to have the full spring there to get acclimated to things. Now, he had a full spring last year, but him being in the spring this year, they thought that he was going to be able to because of the injury. He wasn't. But I think having had another spring of just kind of acclimation to film and understanding where he needs to be, and then again letting that God-given talent take him to the football, I think he's going to have a good year this year for Auburn.
How critical it was that he was on the field this spring. I think the mental reps is what he needed more than anything. And this is a guy who you don't have any question about his athletic ability, like his talent. Or you don't play him as much as you did as a freshman. So there are certain guys, kind of like how we didn't see Jackson Arnold at 8A. We didn't just see Jackson Arnold. He's played enough. He's played enough that you know who Jackson Arnold is. You just need to make sure that a guy like Jackson got it up here in terms of concepts, offensive concepts, and what you want him to do. I see Demarcus Riddick in that same light. He's my during my interview with Freeze, I called him my Malcolm Simmons of the defense. Guy with a ton of athletic ability, just 200 miles an hour doing sometimes the wrong thing, but you can't be mad at him because he's just going out and making plays. I love Demarcus Riddick here. Again, I am going to make a prediction. Demarcus Riddick, at least second team All SEC Ike by the end of the season. Just tons of talent here. Let's get to our last guy here. Again, we've got Kieron Crawford at the buck. We've got Demarcus Riddick at the will. And last but certainly not least, that was a horn there for all the listeners on pod. We got Caleb Wheatland, the transfer from Maryland. Now, this is a guy we talked about with my guy Charlie 5 over at the barn on another Auburn Express episode. Caleb Wheatland brings in over 1,000 snaps of actual P4 playing experience to DJ Durkin's defense. Interesting here. Before we started recording, you talked about this possibly being a battle between him and Robert Woodyard. You're leaning Caleb Wheatland because of the experience. Talk to me about Caleb Wheatland here. He's kind of average PFF scores. He turned in 4 sacks last season, 4 hits, 7 hurries. He played all 13 games at Maryland and had 466 total snaps last year for the Terrapins. Caleb Wheatland.
Yeah, I think that the reason why I went Wheatland here, you already mentioned, was experience, but he's just solid, right? Like, he's a guy who is going to be solid for Auburn, and he can come in and absorb quickly the things that need to be done. He's played a lot of football, and, I talked about, the guys wearing the green dot. Wheatland might be the guy wearing the green dot at the Mike linebacker for Auburn this year. A la a guy like Dorian Mousey last year for Auburn, who came in from Duke. Transfers in, and he is immediately a guy who you can just count on to be solid in the middle of your defense and getting guys lined up and being where he needs to be as far as his gap responsibility and understanding kind of how things need to play out for particular plays. I like the solid nature of a Caleb Wheaton coming in to be a stabilizing force in the linebacker room that, honestly, if I were ranking the rooms out there on defense, this might be the one that is the lowest ranked. Right. I'm a big fan of the defensive backfield. I love what they're doing at both corner and safety there. The defensive line, I think, is going to be absolutely monstrous in the way that they're going to be able to rotate. Probably one of the more underrated rooms around the conference this season.
Oh, interesting.
The linebacker room, though, I think is one that you're still a little uncertain about, even though you've got a lot of talent there. Will they have the guys that are able to play at an SEC level this season? Caleb Wheatland, I think, gives you a safer floor. And Robert Woodyard maybe has a little bit more of a ceiling there. Like, I think that he was working his way into that spot during the spring, but the acquisition of Wheatland, and then you've got other guys like freshmen in Melendez and guys that have a lot of talent there in that room that could see their way onto the field later in the season as they grow and mature in this defense.
Yeah, Caleb Wheatland definitely has the opportunity to be a dude. Term we use here at the War Report for guys we expect to do really well. Before we get to the break here, let's take one last look. This is your Auburn projected starting linebackers: Kieron Crawford, Demarcus Riddick, Caleb Wheatland. These are the guys who will go out first, likely to do it for DJ Durkins on defense. Lots of talent here. A lot of really good experience. Looking forward to seeing the jump that the guy in the middle is going to make this season. No disrespect to Kieron Crawford or Caleb Wheatland, but Demarcus Riddick is the guy I've got my eyes on this year, Ike, as someone who should be not only an impact player, but this year he's going to set himself up to be one of the best players in college football going into his 3rd year, which ultimately will see him become draft eligible. So those are the guys that we have. What kind of impact will they have this year for DJ Durkin on defense? We'll talk about that right after a quick word from our sponsors, our friends at the Vibe Vault. If you're in the Columbus, Phoenix City area and you're looking to get fresh for the weekend, visit our friends at the Vibe Vault. You can find them at 3462 Crosswinds Road, Suite I in Phoenix City, Alabama. That's on Highway 431, right across the street from Chattahoochee Valley Community College, next to the Renfro Supermarket and Marco's Pizza. My guy Steve Watkins serving something fresh up for the community. He's where I go to get my line up and to get the Usher Fade going for the weekend. My girl loves it. Your girl will love it too. Please go visit our friends at the Vibe Vault and our friends at the Rogue Shop. Visit rogueshop.com and use code REPORT to get 15% off your Rogue Shop order. Pain, sleep, stress, anxiety, whatever ails you in life, the Rogue Shop has something that has you covered. Lots of different products there, from CBD to Delta 8, the candles. They've got lots of things there that we like to use on a daily basis here at the War Report. You should too. Again, rogueshop.com. Use code REPORT to get 15% off your Rogue Shop order. And our friends at Golden's Cast Iron. Visit goldenscastiron.com/WR. Use code Get Your Weight Up for 15% off your weights. Code TWR for $65 off fire pits and Kamado grills. Spring is here. Summer's on the way. You want to be outside making memories around the grill with your family, or just getting in shape. Work out, grill out, chill out with our friends at Golden's Cast Iron. Let's jump back in here. Ike, the linebacker core could be a secondary strength. Now, you teased the defensive line, which I think is going to be the next defensive group that we do next Friday. But linebacker is so important. Auburn failed at times last year protecting that second level, allowing inexplicable conversions on third and short where they had the horses, but for whatever reason, they just didn't make the play. Now, they played very well last year, and in our live on Wednesday, we talked about how well this defense did at keeping opposing offenses off the scoreboard for as much as they had to be on the field last year. Linebackers were a big part of that. Look, there weren't a lot of opponents that got more than 28 points, on Auburn's defense last year. But the linebackers, if they make the leap here, I see this definitely being a top 10 defense in 2025.
Yeah, I think a lot of, the projections about how good this defense can be are going to be based on what the floor/ceiling of this linebacker room is going to be.
Yeah.
A lot of talent in this room, right? Like, I don't want to make it seem as if Auburn is lacking talent there. There's tons of talent, right? Like, I didn't even mention all the names that are here in this room. I talked about, I just kind of mentioned Elijah Melendez, but you've got guys like DJ Barber, who is just a downhill plugger type of linebacker that I think some people have forgotten about, that was in the class from last year. You've got some guys in the Buck room. Just want to look at some of the names here. Chris Murray, the transfer that came over from Sam Houston State. Jamonte Waller, who is still there in that room. And then a guy that somehow has completely fallen off of people's radar is Joe Phillips, who is out there, who can play some at the Buck. So I say all that to say they can rotate guys and they can make sure that guys remain fresh. But it's going to be, to me, I think, how well those linebackers are playing against the run this season and how well they can really make plays on the opposite side of the line of scrimmage. And that's where you hope a guy like Caleb Wheatland is going to be able to come in and be solid for you. Again, I don't expect him to be a game wrecker, but I do expect him to be really solid. And to your point, if they're going to improve and they're going to be a top 10 unit, that linebacker room needs to play solid for the entirety of the year.
When we talk about the job that Hugh Freeze has done in recruiting, it's so wild to me that you have names like DJ Barber and Jamonte Waller that just get kind of lost and forgotten about. But there's a ton of talent here, and that's part of the job that Hugh Freeze and his staff have done in stacking talent, is that they've stacked so much talent, you forget about the young talent that came in that hasn't seen much of the field yet. So Elijah Melendez is a name I like a lot. He's already a physical freak. That guy looks ready to play SEC ball today.
Yeah,
I would say seeing him gave me the same impression I got when I saw Malik Blockton for the first time. Like, whoa, this guy looks insane already. So the high level means that you're going to have a lot of talent. It's our job to keep you guys up to date on all the talent that they have coming in. But if you had to pick another star in this, a most likely star to emerge from that secondary group of names that you talked about with Jamonte Waller and DJ Barber, who would it be? Is it Elijah Melendez? Is it DJ Barber? Is it Jamonte? Is it a name? Is it Joe Phillips? Is it a name somebody hasn't heard yet?
I like the tape that I saw on Chris Murray, the transfer over from Sam Houston State, but I'm going to take a flyer here, right? I'm going to take a flyer on a guy that he's going to be very boom or bust, I think, but like if he booms, he's going to boom in a very heavy way, and that's going to be Xavier Atkins, the transfer over from LSU. just because I like his athleticism as a guy that has already had a year. He didn't play very much at LSU, but he seems really hungry. I think he's a guy that if he gets his opportunities can come in and really make some plays. I don't know how many snaps he's going to play this year, but he is going to be impactful, I think, for that linebacker room when he gets his opportunity to play a little bit.
Yeah. All right. Well, there you have it, guys. That is your Auburn starting linebackers as projected by the War Report. Before we get out of here, I want to take one last look at this group. Again, Kieron Crawford, Demarcus Riddick, Caleb Wheatland looking to be impact makers here on defense for DJ Durkin and Hugh Freeze in 2025. Defense is going to be such a big, important piece to them sustaining that first 6-game stretch that sees them play Baylor on the road August 29th. You've got Ball State and South Alabama. Then you see Oklahoma on the road, Texas A&M on the road. Georgia comes to the Plains to end the first half of your season. Auburn has to get out of that stretch 4-2. I'm going to say it every single show we do from now until the season starts. And the defense is going to have a big role in making sure that if this offense starts slowly, that they have the time and the cushion, the leeway to get it together, albeit quickly. But they're going to have, it's just such an advantage to have a defense, Ike, that can hold the opponent off the scoreboard the way Auburn was able to do at times last year. So looking forward,
they're going to get tested early in that Baylor game. Like I think people aren't really understanding how talented the Baylor offense is and how mobile that quarterback can be. That linebacker room is going to get a lot of work in the Baylor game of, trying to figure out how to stay in the game and make sure that you're staying within striking distance. Again, if the offense isn't clicking early, can you keep the Baylor offense at bay while your offense figures it out? We're going to find out really quickly who are the dudes over there on that defensive side.
Yeah, there are some people who, again, don't understand how talented Baylor is in certain spots. I'll tell you who one of those dudes is not. It's not Y2K Sports in Life, because he is in our comments every single day.
Yeah, he's making sure that Auburn is going to lose
that game.
Yeah, and I am. Listen, man, I'm going to say it right here on camera. My boy, y'all better win. You better win.
Come back. Please come back. I will be here no matter what.
You better win. I will make sure I figure out a way to find you somewhere on the internet if y'all lose this game, my boy.
Oh my god.
Better win.
Ike, as always, man, it's a blast being able to do this. Guys, if you're watching this on replay, as always, do us a favor if you're in the comments, hit that super thanks button. Help show us some love. But we'll be on the road for SEC Media Days. You can help support the work that we do on the road by dropping a super thanks for us. That's it for another great edition of the Auburn Express, powered by the War Report. If you want more content like this, please hit like and subscribe. We are the War Report on every social media platform. TW Report on TikTok. We're signing off, and as always, War Eagle.